Hey, what's going on, guys? So this is the second video that's going to be dealing with solving equations, and the thing that this video is going to do is it's just the same steps, except we're going to make it a little more difficult. So if we look here, remember our first step to solving an equation is simplify both sides. The left side is simplified, 3x minus 10, can't do anything with it. The right side is simplified, 6x plus 2, can't do anything with it. So the next thing we want to do is we would like to get all of our variables to one side, everything without the variable we want to solve for on the other. So if we look here, we have a 3x, a 6x. We want to get all of our x's to the right side for this one, so I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. So we're left with a negative 10 is equal to 3x plus 2. All right, the next step is we want to isolate or the x term, so we need to get this 3x by itself. In order to get rid of this plus 2, we got to think back to our inverses. The inverse of plus 2 is a minus 2. Whatever you do to one side, do to the other. Negative 12 is equal to 3x. Since the 3 and the x are multiplied, divide both sides by 3. And you're going to get for this one, negative 4 is equal to x. All right. Again, it's very, very simple. As long as you follow your steps, you can't go wrong. As long as you do your math right. Then you could be wrong if you do your math correctly. But make sure you do your math right. Correct answer to this, x equals negative 4. All right, next one. This one's going to be a little challenging, mainly because we have a distributive property on both sides. All right, so again, the first step to solving an equation is simplify both sides. This left side, we have negative 2 times the quantity, 3x minus 2. All right, in order to solve this, we must first simplify our parentheses by distributing the negative 2. So now we have negative 6x plus 4 is equal to. Likewise, on the right side, we have 3 times the quantity, x plus 12. So to get rid of this 3 in parentheses, we must distribute the 3. We're going to get 3x plus 36. All right, so now we simplified left side, right side. We can't combine any like terms, so we're good. All right, now let's see. Negative 6x plus 4 equals 3x plus 6. What I'm going to do is I want to get all of our x's to the left side and all the constants to the right. So in order to get this 3x to the left, we must subtract it. Oops, that's division, not subtraction. Minus 3x. And I want to subtract this 4 to move it to the right. That's addition, not subtraction. All right, so when we simplify this, we're left with negative 9x is equal to 32. All right, so now, since we want to isolate the x by itself, we must divide both sides by negative 9. We get x equals negative 32 over 9. And that's our final answer. Again, we can have a fraction as an answer. Kids don't like fractions. I'm not really sure why, since they're just numbers that aren't whole. But that's how you solve this one. Simplify both sides using distributive property. Simplify, get all of your x's on one side of the equation, all of your numbers to the other. Divide by negative 9. X equals negative 32 over 9. All right. So this problem I'm going to do is going to be a little different. All right. So we have 1/2 times the quantity 6x minus 12 equals 3x plus 5. All right. Again, the first rule of simplifying an equation is solving an equation, I should say, is simplifying both sides. So we can distribute this 1/2. 1/2 times 6 is 3x, because 1/2 multiplying by 1/2 is the same thing as dividing by 2. 1/2 times negative 12 is negative 6 is equal to 3x plus 5. All right. So now what we got to do is we have to get our x's to one side, get all of our x's to the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'll move this 3x to the left by subtracting it. Okay. But what you notice, something tricky here happens. When we subtract 3x from 3x, we're left with 0. So the left side is just negative 6, and our right side is just positive 5. This brings us to a thought that we haven't seen before. So what you really have to ask yourself is, what is this saying in English? Well, if we read this, it says that -6 is equal to a +5. Then you ask yourself, is that true? Is there ever any time in math where a -6 is the same exact thing as a +5? And the answer should be no, because these are two different numbers that aren't the same, therefore they can never be equal. Okay? Now what this says about our equation is that this equation will never be equal. 3x minus 6 can never equal 3x minus 5. Since we have an answer that is incorrect, aka it doesn't work, our answer is going to be no solution. Because really, whenever you find that x is equal to something, so for instance in this last one, how the x was equal to -32/9, that was our solution. That's the only answer that will make both sides of this equation equal. But now we're getting to a problem where no matter what you plug in for x, this equation will never be equal. Okay? There's no solution for it. It's never going to work. And this happens. I mean, everything's not perfect. You're not always going to get a solution because, for instance, in this one, we have no solution. So if you ever get an equation where the left side is not equal to the right side, it's no solution, no answer. No matter what we do, it's never going to work. Likewise, we can have one like this. And this is very similar to the last one, except instead of being no solution, it's going to be something a little different. All right. So if we look here again, we must simplify the left side. And I know this one's very similar to the last problem. I'm just making that so we can understand our solution, not really our math as much, since it's very similar to the last one. So we're going to distribute the 1/3, which again is like dividing by 3. So we have 3x minus 4 is equal to 3x minus 4. Okay. Again, right off the bat, we can tell that both sides of this equation are exactly the same. But I'm going to keep simplifying it to show you why it's exactly the same. So let's move this 3x to the left. So we subtract 3x, and we get -4 is equal to -4. Now again, this is a little different than what we've been doing because our x's canceled and there's no x equals anything, okay? So right off the bat, we know that there's not going to be one solution. But what we need to ask ourselves is -4 always going to be equal to -4? The answer for this is yes. Okay, it's always going to be equal. So the answer to this one is all real numbers, or we could say there's infinite solutions. Because no matter what you plug in or substitute for x, the answer, this equation is always going to stay true. Because it's 3x minus 4 equals 3x minus 4. No matter what you plug in for x, it's going to be equals to, because it's the same exact expression on both sides. Therefore, making our solution infinite solutions. All right. So really, when we talk about equations, if you get x equals 7, or really any number, any real number, okay, you have one solution. If we get something where both sides do not equal, like -7 equals 10, that's never going to be true. So your answer for that is no solutions, at least no real solutions. Okay. Then the third option is when you get one side of your equation to exactly equal the other side of the equation. Therefore, that is infinite solutions. Okay. These are your three possible ways, or three possible solutions for an equation. You can have one solution, no solution, infinite solutions. They're going to come up. You could do a word problem that has no solutions, a word problem that has infinite solutions. So it's always nice to be able to decipher the difference between one solution, no solution, infinite solutions. Hopefully this video helps you out. The next video you guys should be watching is the real world word problems, because it takes solving equations, which is something that should be simple by now, to word problems which kids just freak out about, and I'm not really sure why, because it's just a little extra work. But the SAT and the Park love word problems, so we're going to love word problems, and you guys will be pros at it. If you have any questions, again, shoot me an email, come talk to me. Go Jets.